All right, so many people I've been talking to lately have been expressing that they feel like they're in a challenge, that they're in a season, one that they've never really found themselves in before. And one of the directions that these conversations almost always take is to a question about their accountability practices. Like, what accountability have they set up for themselves? And I think that more than ever, we're in a situation right now as an industry, as a people, as a culture, where we try to avoid accountability. And we kind of think like accountability is like a bad thing. But when I think about anything that I've accomplished of any significance, there's always been accountability involved. You know, it's that bridge or that glue that ties your commitments to those results that you desire. And without it, I just don't think it's possible to achieve your best or anything significant. So I want to dive into this quick video and this recap of like what I see as in working with tons of students and running my companies, like what are the biggest accountability pitfalls? So let's take a look.
All right.
So let's wrap up accountability with some of the accountability pitfalls that I see most often. And that is that we just don't have an accountability plan. It's non-existent. We haven't sat down and taken the time to really put an accountability and structure in place. Or you think you have one, but nobody else on your team knows you have one. So it's really a non-existent accountability structure. Or the second one, the thing I'm most passionate about when it comes to accountability is we're tracking too many things and we're not managing any of them well. Similar to most other areas of the business where we're underperforming, we're doing too many things, we're managing too many things, or we're not managing them well. So when it comes to accountability pitfalls, I don't want you to be managing too many things. Wipe this slate clean, figure out what's most important in each area of your business that you need to have accountability, and start small. You can always add more things later, but do a good job managing a few things well, and you'll start to see progress and improvement with your accountability. And then establish but not manage. So you have an accountability structure. Maybe you created it yourself, or maybe you borrowed it from somebody. And you're like, all right, cool, this is what we're gonna do. And you put it in place, but it was established a long time ago and you never manage it. Meaning you told everybody this is what we're gonna do. You had them sign a little piece of paper, and that was years ago, and you're not checking in on that. You're not managing it all. So you have one, but it's not being managed. And last, you just have an inconsistent structure. You know, you get together this week, but you might or might not get together next week. Nobody really knows. It's always a last minute thing. Or maybe you're still in production, and because of that, you know, you get a meeting and you cancel the meeting, and it's like, okay, well, I'm busy, so I can't do it. And that's another reason to think about, when is your accountability meeting? But these are the common mistakes that I see most often. Either the accountability is non-existent, you're managing too many things, it's established, but it's not being managed, or it's just an inconsistent overall structure and when you get together. So your exercise is simple. What is your biggest problem with your current accountability structure? That's number one. What can you start doing within the next 2 weeks to turn it around? So the reason I put 2 weeks here is I want you to think of something that you can pull off in the next 2 weeks that's gonna have an impact on your accountability. Not something that's gonna take you 2 months, 6 months down the road, because you'll have a tendency not to follow through with that. But what's one thing you can do right now for your accountability plan that you can share with your team this coming week, and by the following week you can have implemented? And then what leadership attributes do you need to work on in order to do a better job with your accountability? So throughout this component, we talked a lot about you being a coach for your people, them being the players, you being the coach. Really self-assess here. You know, what areas of your leadership do you need to work on? Is it, you know, communication? Is it, you know, really addressing things head on with people? Is it sitting down with them one-on-one? Is it being clear and concise? Is it you being structured and accountable? Because at the end of the day, the accountability structure starts and stops with you. If you don't put it in place and you don't manage it and you don't hold them accountable, you're not being a good leader to your people, and they're never gonna follow suit too. So really take this to heart, answer these questions honestly, and begin to make progress in this area. Because at the end of the day, you can do a lot for your business, you can buy a lot, you can have a lot of great people in the seats. But if you don't do a good job with accountability, your team's never gonna perform like it should, and you're never gonna get the results that you need to get out of what you're already doing.
All right, now it's just time to be honest with yourself. Like when you hear about those different pitfalls that are so common and so prevalent in our industry and our world today, you know, grade yourself on a 1 through 10. Like, where do you find yourself? A 10 being like you're excelling at not having that pitfall. A 1 being that pitfall is like very prevalent in your life. Just grade yourself, take inventory, and ask yourself this question. One of my mentors used to always say this: what do you need to stop doing? And what do you need to start doing in order to move you closer to your goals? So when it comes to accountability, it's like, if you don't have any, like, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to keep kind of leaving your goals and dreams and desires to chance? Or are you going to put an accountability and structure in place that's going to help you move forward and be accountable to those actions that are going to get you the result you want? It's totally up to you, but you've got to make that decision.